I want us to talk about this thing. Conflict resolutions. When is enough enough? In any relationship, there's bound to be conflict. Let's talk about burning bridges today, or whatever time you're watching, my friend. Have you ever burned bridges? A bridge is a structure carrying a road or a path or a railway or even a canal across a river or ravine, or railway road or an obstacle. When you burn a bridge, you're telling me that you have cut any pathway so that you cannot use to cross that river or whatever obstacle you have in your life. And I wonder sometimes when we burn bridges, what leads us to doing that? Sometimes it's in the heat of anger. Sometimes we have tantrum causing trouble. And therefore we feel like this is enough. I'm going to cut bridges. This phrase goes back to the days when in the military where a leader would tell his army to make sure that they burn the bridge behind them so that the enemy does not get them. But also, very importantly, so that the soldiers will have no chance of retreating. You signed for this, you gonna go for it all the way. So they would burn the bridge so that there will be no retreat. It's just one way. Go fight. There's no defeat. You cannot go back. So, what bridges have you burned? And what does it mean to burn a bridge? Some of us have been in a relationship and you felt like it is time to burn that bridge. Some of us have worked and you feel like it's time for you to move on and to quit that job. And we can walk out one day and never come back. And we can burn bridges at place of work. We also burn bridges within our family, our members, even with the friends. And today I want to challenge all of us to make sure that even as we burn bridges, we know what we are doing. Let me say at the outset, sometimes it's necessary to burn certain bridges. You don't want them. You don't want to go back, period. You're done, kaput. It's gone. Baya kabisa. And you feel like, you know what? Unless I burn this bridge, I keep going, keep being. So you kind of chop off all the avenue, any bridge that you make you go back to your former life. I'm not talking about that today. I want to talk about not burning bridges. And maybe for another day, we can come and talk about the need to burn certain bridges so that you don't find yourself going back to and fro. So let's talk about not burning bridges. Let's begin with a place of work. Sometimes, my friend, we get tempted, to quit. And when you know that you're done with this company, this employer, you feel like, you know what? I don't need you anymore. I'm out of here. And you quit with anger. And many times we say bad things about our employer, our former employer, just because you've gotten a greener pasture. I don't need this employer. It is done. And you know what we do? for us to justify why we are leaving this job, or even to tell a friend that I couldn't work in that place anymore. It's human that we tend to put dirt on your former place of work. Let me tell you this. Don't burn that bridge. You might need it, and maybe sooner than you might think. How so? For example, sometimes you move on and you go to another job or another occupation, and then you go to another, and then you realize that they might need your history, your employment history, where they need a recommendation letter. Hey, if you bang the door, if you burn the bridge, how do you even gather the courage to go back and ask your employer, can you please give me a letter of recommendation? Be careful, my friend. You might need a letter from your former employer, even when you do not know. Secondly, don't put dirt to this connection, to this opportunity you've heard. Because guess what? If you put a bad reputation on your employer or the jobs that you've come from, please be careful. Be careful, because as you mess it, you're going to be messing it for someone else. The other thing that is so evident, sometimes you might dismiss people and think they don't matter anymore, just to see that in your future, maybe even the near future, you find that the very people that you slam the door, on, you find them as future employers. Maybe it was a junior person who was working with you and you just disregarded them. You didn't tell them goodbye. All you did was just to look at them down. And then you realize that they are in a better position and they could even be hiring you. I'm watching the debates right now. We are in the electioneering here in America, where you find a former vice president. He was a vice president of President Obama. If he gets presidency, can you imagine President Obama coming back to visit Joe as a president, giving him the respect that is due a president, or even asking for favor? Your former boss, he was your former boss, but he may come back and salute you as his boss, so to speak. So see how you treat people, even in your junior level, because you never know. We live in a very small world. And even though you are lucky, you get lucky in your life and you feel like you're moving on, please be careful how you leave your supervisor or even those that are junior. So don't put all those that stuff. Don't put that stuff on your former employer. Remember, where you have gotten, the experience you've gotten, you could not have gotten it were it not for this employer, this working place. This job gave you an opportunity to build yourself. And now when you feel like you've graduated, you become of age, you feel like you can just slam the door, you might need that bridge. It's not even that. You smear these people or smear this company or this employer, you give it a bad reputation, your child, your friend may need it in the future. And you don't want them to feel like, you know what, I don't want to go there because my uncle, my auntie said this about this place. So, workplace, live with dignity. And even though there are things that may not work well, part of the reason why you're walking away, even where you go, you'll always have issues, my friend. And by the way, be careful, because when you go and ask for a new job, you're being interviewed, and you're being asked, why did you leave your former employment? And then you think it's good to kind of pour cold water on your former employer. Oh, this is how they were doing. I didn't like the way they do things. They were not nice. They didn't do this. The boss was not nice. They did not treat me. Listen, they are listening to you, because what make them not think that you will do the same to them? Be economic with your words. Just say, I just want to move on with life. I just needed a change. I appreciate that I have been able to learn this, and I'm there, just say a good word. You never know. That boss might make a call to your former boss and say, hey, we are here. We are about to offer an employment to Gigi. What would you say about him? If you slam the door, you may miss this job and you may have qualified, but you never know what happens behind your back. Let's talk about relationship. Sometimes relationships don't work. Sometimes. I pray and I wish they do. But even when you think that you have outgrown some people in your lives, you feel like, no, this is enough. I cannot handle this person anymore, because you have developed other interests. Please, comfortably talk to your friend, whoever it is, whatever relationship you may have, and say, you know what, this thing is not working. And I want to appreciate our friendship and where we have, what we've developed. But respectively, let's go our different ways. And be friends. It's very ironic here in the Western world, unlike in Africa, where if people divorce, in this country, you can still be friends. It amazes me that you can even have coffee with your ex. Where I come from, it's like, no. Burn the bridge, no seeing, no talking. And I'm sure there's some good reason for that. But I also appreciate that if things didn't work, it doesn't mean that you're enemies. You can still talk. Let's say you had children together. You're not going to make this person look like an enemy. You can disagree, and you might feel this is not working. But guess what? You'll still be the father of my children. You're still going to be the mother of my children. And that doesn't stop you, two of you, meeting and just finding out how is so-and-so doing, yeah. And again, this kid's going to be, going to and fro. And you don't have to see someone as a devil. Don't burn all the bridges, because you need a conversation, especially when it comes to taking care of kids. You may need to talk. But when you tell somebody, I will never want to see you, if I ever see you, this is what's going to happen. Come on, my friend. Where are you going to get perfect life, perfect relationship? And I want to warn those of us who tend to fuel when you know that there's a commotion between two people. We have people who are very gifted. installing conflict and say, yes, 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 I knew it. I don't know what you are thinking about that person. I know your spouse is not a good man. I know your friend is not a good man. They talk ill about this person that you've differed with. Watch out when you get in between people. Because you know what? You know what I've learned? Even when people fight, especially in a relationship, they always come back. God forbid that when they come back, they will talk and say, you know what? When we were fighting, do you know what so and so told me about you? Do you know he encouraged me to leave you for good? And you're like, what? So be careful. Don't get between two people who are in a fight. Because once they reconcile, it will be two against one. And it's going to be pretty. So don't help somebody burn his or her bridge, or bridges, if you may. You know, but even this person, much as you differ, much as you go different ways, much as you feel like this is it, don't forget what this person has done to you. There's something good. That relationship was not for nothing. At least he or she made you a better person. So go different ways, but still respect, honor this person. They still need to be respected. They still need to be honored. Don't forget the good they did, even though there is this one thing that they've done to make you go different ways. Because guess what? Even if it's not about relationship being close, you still need each other, one way or the other, my friend. So, if we have to go different ways, please respect what you had, honor that, because it's gonna stick, and that is the same for families. I know there are those who have extended family members. They don't talk, they don't communicate. My friend, don't you close out the door. You might need it. That cousin of yours, that parent of yours, that brother of yours, that relative of yours, that Kenyan mate, or rather you are a national fellow guy, don't close the door. You may need him. Don't forget your background, your family, your village. You may be away in another country and you might be comfortable and you may be leading a dream life. And you might think that, you know what, I'm done. I'm not in that country anymore. I'm done, kaput. Watch it, my friend. Situations may arise when you may need that village, that poor people you look down on, those uneducated, those dirty people, those backward people. You will need them. Oh, you don't know until, for those who are Kenyans, you don't know what it is until you get from your comfort and you go back there and you are in need of a villager. Neighbors, as much as possible, keep good relationship with your neighbor. Because when something happens at night, you need a car to deliver a child who is sick. You have been invaded by robbers. A guest has come and you need this help. Right? You may need them. Don't burn bridges, my friend, as much as it is possible, as a good book says. Live with peace. At peace with everybody. The other thing is, never say never. In this life, never say never. Oh, I will never talk to this person again. And then you go ahead and even using word of the Almighty swelling. Don't do that. You never know what the future holds for you, my friend. You never know. Even people who have separated have gone different ways. They end up coming back together. Never say that I don't need this company anymore. Never say he'll never be my friend again, ever. Never say I don't need his help. Don't swear. You know why? You can't afford to burn bridges because why? The road may lead you back to it. You burn the bridge behind you, and you think you have entered in the promised land, and you are using this path. You never know where this road will go. It may lead you back to the bridge that you burned, and you have nothing to cross over with. So watch it, my friend. Life is too short, and you need to maximize it. The other thing is, as you burn the bridge, let me ask, who is to blame? Many of us want to burn bridges, saying, it's enough, I can't have any more, I have a green pasture, I'm going to go. And then you place all the blame to the other person. Before you smear others, because you have seen the light, or you can't cope with this person anymore. Let me ask, who was wrong? Could it be that you're burning the bridge and you are to blame? You know, we tend to be blind to what we do. We tend to be blind to our own faults. And sometimes we don't just see it. We don't take time to see the situation. Do you know what? As they say, it takes two to tango. Yes, it takes two to tango. You're in a situation and you feel like you have conflict and you're on your way. Who started it? Could you be the cause before you burn that bridge and go talking how you are done with that person? Who caused it? It takes two. How much are you to blame? So when you go there, you burn the bridge, you've cut the rings and all that, watch what you say. It may come to haunt you, my friend. Don't get me wrong. I said at the beginning, there are bridges that need to be burned. But today we're just talking about don't burn the bridge because of some good reasons. Just because other people are burning it. Now, in conclusion, if you must exit, if you must go away from work, from a relationship, keep all the bitterness to yourself and have a gracious exit. Be a gentleman. Be a gentlewoman. If you're calling it quits, do it nicely. Don't mess so that whoever comes to take after you will find it very hard to get all the pieces together. If it is a notice, give somebody 1 month notice if possible, or a month, and say, you know what, something has come up and I would want to move on to have a better experience out there. Don't mess it so that whoever comes after you uses all the energy to put all the pieces together. If you must, I pray you don't burn that bridge, but if you must, please exit graciously with respect. Now, the other thing is, why you should not burn the bridge. You never know. You may come back to it. And when you come back to it, you may use a lot of time to rebuild it. If you want to pass through that bridge again, and you've already burnt it, You'll have a lot of work, energy, resources, and ashamedly so. You'll be embarrassed putting the pieces together to put back that bridge. Practically, say you just walked out and you left unceremoniously and you kind of slam the door behind you and you go out there, things don't work, and you want to go back. Imagine how embarrassed you are because of the things you did on your way out. But if you had a gracious exit, do you know what they tell you? Thank you for respecting us. Thank you for walking out. I know you have every right to go and look for greener pastures, but should you need to come back, the door will always be open. How many of us have gone back to our former place of work? Right? If you're so good and people are so happy to receive you back because you didn't burn you did not burn the bridge. You went graciously, they receive you back. Imagine the embarrassment, the shame you have to endure, especially if this is the only place you can go back to work. And you created enmity, you smeared the company, and you put all the dirt things because you're walking out. You might need their help. So don't go badmouth people just because you have walked out of their life or you are not in the fellowship. Oh, should I say this? Even for us in the ministry, when you walk out, don't get entry in another place by smearing their former ministry. You may need me. You may need to come back to the friends that you've always had. So do it with respect. And people will honor your decision to move on, to go to another place. But it doesn't have to be ugly. You don't have to burn the bridge. And as I said earlier on, you burn it, a friend of yours, a child of yours may want to use that bridge to cross. But you've already burnt it. Should I also this as I add this? You know, when you burn the bridge, literally, you may not go down with it, but the smoke will follow you. You still smell the smoke of the bridge that you have burnt. Oh, can I tell you how? Let's say you move away from this school or this employer, and you are one of the reasons why it goes down. Guess what? They will ask you, didn't you used to work for that company that went down, that was involved in corruption? And you are like here saying, oh my goodness, I'm one of the reasons why it went down. It's going to follow you. You've been in a relationship, you've been in a workplace, wish them well. Because even in your old age, you remember that that was part of your life. It was part of your life. And you cannot erase an experience, a fact of life. And if you want to make it dirty, you be part of that dirt. The smoke. You'll always have the smoke of the fire, of the burning you caused. So let us agree. Some bridges must be burned, but those that must not be burned, let us be diligent, let us be wise, not to burn some bridges, because you will need them. Maybe sooner than later. Thank you. See you next time.